The Mariners set to open a 3-game series in D.C. tonight with the Nationals, and the M's have a lot of healthy pitchers right now, which unfortunately has led to a lot of questions. They're in a 6-man rotation during this 10-game road trip, and Bill, I don't want to beat a dead horse. We've talked piggyback, 6-man rotation, but what is sustainable? Is the 6-man sustainable?
It is. It has a lot to do with the ability of all these 6 pitchers to carry the game a little bit further. And we've seen that. Dan Wilson has pushed these guys over the 100-pitch line, but they haven't been very efficient. And that's stretching the bullpen. And the Mariners are a little bit light when you talk about the long guy, Chris Wall, now on the IL. So getting guys that are used to pitching when you're behind suddenly in games where it's even or ahead, that can hurt you. And you always worry a little bit about guys not pitching sooner, that they have too much rest, particularly the fastball command guys like Wu and Kirby, and we've seen them not pitch as well during this stretch. It's tough because Castillo and Miller both deserve to start, and we've not trained our starters. That's across baseball as far as being able to pitch beyond the 90-pitch mark. And so with 6-man, you would think more rest, they could do that, but they're not trained to do that. So because when you start getting into the 7th and the 6th and 7th inning, it becomes less about whiff and more about can I hit a spot and get the ball weakly put in play, which is not how our pitchers are taught. They're taught, try to strike everybody out. Try to make them swing and miss every pitch. Well, now you got to be more efficient. Try to get a ground ball. Try to hit the weak part of the strike zone and get the guy out with a well-located fastball. So it's a managing personalities, egos, and also understanding the bullpen doesn't have as many guys. And now Brash is down. So there's some pressure there on the staff, the starting staff, to carry the game further, which means be willing to get early contact. That's going to be important. Early in the game.
Yeah, in the last segment, you talked about selflessness and doing what you need to do to win the game for the team. When you look at this 6-man rotation, is there any person on that rotation that you think could be selfless enough or could belong this particular year in the bullpen?
That's a great question. The guy that's the odd man out numbers-wise is Castillo. Now, he's pitched great his last 3 turns. You can feel a la Crawford. He's feeling the crossroads of his career. How am I going to get to the next deal, or how am I going to get to the next opportunity to start? As I started back when they started with the piggyback, I thought Bryce Miller was the answer. And now with Brash on the shelf, he'd certainly be perfect. But now he's pitched so brilliantly as a starter, there's no way to reel him back, I don't think. So the only way it probably happens is if Castillo goes to the pen, and that's not going to happen with him smiling. So I think they're going to stick with 6 unless something more extraordinary happens. Now, is there a market for Castillo? With $23 million left next year on his contract, it would take a big contract coming back to make a deal, and maybe they could find a right-handed bat and a reliever. But those are things that I'm not privy to. I don't know anything about that stuff.
No, but you bring that up because we talk a little bit about Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander and the fact that they're not afraid to make trades. And that seemed to be one of the obvious things to talk about, Bill, is the fact that they could move Castillo even before the trade deadline. Sure. But when you have a guy like Castillo and a guy that a veteran like him, I got to believe that his stock is going up right now, and there's a chance to go ahead and move him because there's just not enough room for these guys. There's not enough room to move these pieces around. It seems like the obvious choice would be to trade him to a team, at least a contender, that needs a veteran pitcher.
Yeah, that seems to be the solution. If they could find a market for him with a club that understands and really is watching him pitch and seeing that he still has the ability to be a middle to the back end of a rotation, steady guy that really challenges people, that can pitch on a winning team, I absolutely think he can do that. And what you could get in return remains to be seen. You'd say to yourself, well, wait a minute. What if we have another injury in the rotation? Well, we got Cade Anderson in our back pocket. Yeah, he's only got 7 starts in the minor leagues, but he could handle it. He could step up and pitch. That would be a major rush if you had to do that. But and I'm not jumping ahead thinking that Anderson should be there. But Castillo on the market as a trade would solve this problem and put everybody right where they're supposed to be. Maybe get another reliever in return that helps you, particularly even if Brash comes back. They need another guy down there.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned obviously Cade Anderson, Ryan Sloan. Like, it's not only a 6-man rotation they have problems with. Like, they have like the luxury of having these 2 guys also down there pitching right now. And so, I mean, they've got a lot of arms and really nowhere to put them.
Yeah, I mean, they're 20, 21 years old. I mean, Cade Anderson, he reminds me of David Price. David Price back in 2007 with Tampa was the #1 pick, came out of Vanderbilt, and he just wiped the league out down in the minor leagues. And then when 2008 playoffs came out, he came up and pitched in relief, ended up winning the championship game for them, the AL championship game. He came in relief and won. So I could see real parallels there. David Price had a great career. Kate Anderson, is he going to be David Price? I'm not saying that, but he's special. The numbers, I mean, right now, he's what, 5-0, the 1-2, 76 strikeouts and only 7 walks. I mean, and he's not doing it with like scattering the baseball and getting swing and miss. This kid is pitching. He's got a changeup. He's got a break curveball slider. He can move the baseball around. He's smooth and polished. Yeah, he could handle it.
I know, we've had you on the show before, and we've talked about this and the fact that, yeah, these guys are ready, but they still need that seasoning of overcoming, like Ryan Sloan earlier this season, tanked in a couple of games, and people were all concerned about him. And then he comes out a couple of weeks ago and throws lights out, and all of a sudden he's ready to come to the majors. But there's going to be these ups and downs that these young pitchers have to be able to learn how to handle. And you don't want to learn that at the major league level, do you?
Right.
I mean,
and they're pitching him as a starter. I kind of look at Sloan and I say, I see relief. I see a guy that's got lightning in a bottle, 100-mile-an-hour, hard slider. You look at his mechanics, big, strong, 6'5", right-hander. You can just close your eyes and see him stepping into the 6th and 7th and 8th inning for this team and giving them another guy. I mean, that, to me, that looks easy. His numbers are not great in the minor leagues, and maybe it's because, it's the minor leagues, and he's 20 years old, and he's still learning, and pitching him as a starter is a good way for him to get touch on all his pitches, but I kind of see him as the lightning guy that's coming that's going to help his bullpen. So I think that's where they could go and really help themselves if they really felt like he was ready.
all right, we talked about the young pitchers in this Mariners organization. They get so much praise for their minor league system. They're always ranked in the top 3 in recent years of prospects. And, we talk about those 2 pitchers. But on the infield, the position players they've got, Feldon Celestin, Las Montez, do those guys have longer paths, do you think, to the majors than a pitcher?
They do. I mean, Celestin signed in 23, almost $5 million, and he's a wonderfully talented shortstop. He's hitting over 300. He's got some pop. They like him a lot. Across baseball, they like him a lot. He's going to be a player, but he's behind Cole Emerson, so he's got a journey yet to be had to really just totally develop his game. And, Montez, he's kind of Alvarez in the minor leagues. I mean, he's 19 homers and 220 at bats.
He's a big dude, too.
And that's in Arkansas. I mean, 6'5". I don't know how polished he is in the outfield. He's probably got some work to do there. But he's got serious power. He's on track to hit 40 homers. An exciting bat, for sure. But again, young, and there's no real spot for him. When you look at, we're long-suited and left-handers. Right now, if we could talk about roster roulette, Dominic Canzone is slugging over 500 and hitting the ball like crazy, and he could be the guy that walks when Donovan comes back. It's possible because you couldn't take another right-hander off the bench, then you're stripped. And Randy's going to end up in right field, and as you said, Rosarina is a DH. All of a sudden, Canzone. So there's no spot for Montez. He just keeps stoning the baseball, keep working on his defense.
Yeah, it's funny. We mention these names, and you look across the majors, Bill, and take us back to your playing days, because back in your playing days, it feels like the depth at that young level is so much deeper now. These guys are coming up and playing right away, but maybe 20 years ago, it took a while for them to develop that talent.
Yeah, they weren't allowing these kids to go quite as fast. That was John Olerud, Bob Horner. We're talking about the really highly unusual guys that got there immediately. Yeah. Everybody else had a journey. Talk a lot about how many at-bats you need before you get to the big leagues, how many innings you need before you get to the big leagues. So that was a little more tried and true around that, and that veterans were, I think, more important in today's game. All that's broken down. If you can really play, everybody lets you come in and play and let you be yourself and let it rip. And a lot of it's because they're spending money at the beginning on these guys, so they want a return on investment as well.
Yeah, great point there, because the Mariners just gave Cole Emerson that tremendous contract and brought him up shortly after, so they're going to pay these guys that kind of money, and he certainly is one of a kind coming up at that age, just 20 years old. He won't be 21 until July 20th, so he's still a ways away from being able to walk into the bar and order something, right?
Or celebrate in the clubhouse.
That's right.